so manly. Wait. Don't adjust your monitors. Don't click away. I know this has been a running gag for 3 years now, but this time we're doing this for real. For really real. Now, many people see the Cho Aniki series as an ubiquitous example of Japan's inherent weirdness. Though its nation of origin isn't bizarre as many are led to believe, Cho Aniki absolutely is. Huge muscly men, bizarre poses, music that sounds like you're on a bad acid trip, it's all in here. Cho Aniki also belongs to a specific game subgenre known as kusoge, which translates literally to shit game.
In most cases, the series lives up to this infamous moniker, especially the PS1 and Saturn versions, which I'm sure many of you had the misfortune to see on April 1st, 2011. But, like anything else, there are definite exceptions to the rule. Ai Cho Aniki, or Love Super Big Brother, is the second game in this dubious series, and made its debut on the PC Engine Super CD-ROM in 1995. It was released alongside a Super Famicom fighting game and the atrocious PS1 and Saturn titles. And wouldn't you know it, this one ended up being the best title the series has yet seen. Don't believe us? Well, check this out and prepare to have your mind blown.
So you want your shooter unique, right? A shooter like no other? Well friends, this is it. This game is about as far off in left field as you can get them, especially gameplay wise. To begin, you control bodybuilder muscly man add-on like you would any ship from any other shooter. The stage scrolls left and enemies appear from the right. But from there, nothing is what you would expect. The stages will often change from a side-scroller to a sort of vertical mode, in which enemies can appear from all sides. Pushing the shot button will fire a weak homing shot, which can be constantly used, but not to especially great effect. To do heavy damage, fighting game style button combos have to be inputted to perform special moves.
These moves include a fast long-range attack by pressing back forward 2, a strong short-range attack by pressing quarter circle forward 2, and the devastating men's beam by inputting half circle forward 2. There are also vertical variants of the long-range attack that fire up and down if performed in the appropriate direction as well. In a 2-player game, both players contribute to the overall score and destruction count. Each player has a life bar that replenishes after each stage segment, though there isn't a life stock, per se. Instead, there is a row of hourglasses along the top of the screen that count down as Samson works out. When this gets to 0, it's game over, unless you know a very specific technique. Check out the next Bullet Heaven EX for more on that.
This is a pretty unique way to do things, and the game ends up being a tad easier in the 2-player mode with experienced players, since the game doesn't scale the difficulty up, thankfully. You can replenish the hourglasses, your life, and obtain limited power boosts as Ben 10 flies onto the screen at certain points as well. This is a pretty tough game when it comes down to brass tacks, but with practice, it's all pretty manageable, especially if you're into fighting games. Scoring in Ai Cho Aniki isn't deep, but it can be tricky, since there is an emphasis on the number score as well as a percentage. Taking out as much of the enemy opposition as possible, as efficiently and completely as possible, is how you're going to want to focus your efforts. Just be sure to brush up on your Japanese characters, since all of the numbers are in kanji. Eee. This is where Ai Cho Aniki either shines or burns, depending who you ask. The visuals here take a front seat with a ton of giant, bright, detailed sprites and a huge amount of multi-layered scrolling, and all with very little slowdown. The sprites and elements used can be a tad off-putting though, since the skin-to-thong ratio can be, and often is, extremely high. This doesn't stop this game from having my favorite boss in recent memory in it though.
There are guaranteed moments where you will not be able to hold back your laughter. It's also a safe bet the words "what the," followed by any expletive, will be bulked out at least 20 times through the game's initial run based solely on visual elements and design choice alone. But while a picture can be worth 1,000 words, there isn't a single character in this game that isn't in Japanese outside of the title screen. And is it ever kanji heavy?
Then there's the sound. Oh man, does Ai Cho Aniki have some off-the-wall stuff, but also tunes that have burrowed into my brain deeply enough for me to keep humming weeks later. Others sound simply amazing and felt as if Ai Cho Aniki would be the last place on earth I'd find them.
Okay.
The OST is even listed on the back of the game case.
The sound effects are also well sampled and don't sound out of place or from a different game over the music. They are also suitably bizarre and add to an already over-the-top atmosphere that you just won't find anywhere else, even within the Cho Aniki series.
All in all, there's just one problem. There are only 4 stages to the game. I was ready for so much more and then it ended. Granted, each stage is broken up into 3 decent sub-stages, but it was just a bit shorter than I would have liked. At least it didn't overstay its welcome. If you were ever curious about this series, even just a bit, this is the one you want to get into. But how does it stack up? Let's take a look. For a game with an emphasis on using directional commands fighting game style, being able to get through the game without getting completely dominated is rather easy and forgiving.
It'll take some getting used to, but in the end it totally works.
Challenge-wise, it's going to take practice and getting used to dodging enemy fire while quarter circle forwarding, and the best ending will be tough to achieve.
This game is highly challenging, especially when it comes to adapting fighting game moves to side-scrolling play.
Though it feels a bit short, each of Ai Cho Aniki's 4 stages are broken up into 3 decent-length sub-stages.
Ai Cho Aniki doesn't overstay its welcome with its decent length.
Huge sprites and a ton of multi-layered scrolling make this game an awesome one to look at, if you don't mind the hundreds of bodybuilders and tiny thongs.
I'm not sure I can describe the stuff I saw in this game. Manrageous comes close, but whatever it is, it's vibrant. Sometimes uncomfortable, but ultimately strong.
Bizarre, catchy, and sometimes beautiful, the OST in Ai Cho Aniki stands out as one of the most entertaining we've heard yet.
Ai Cho Aniki has a crazy cool soundtrack and hilarious sound effects that come together to make something ridiculous. It's so awesome.
Ai Cho Aniki does things no other shmup has done in a manner that comes off as one of the most unique experiences in shooting games, bar none.
In a word, it's Mandy!
This episode started out as a joke. I didn't ever expect to find the greatness I've discovered in this game, especially playing the sketchy original, the abysmal follow-up, or the newest entry on the PSP. But in a manner fitting of the greatest surprises ever, Ai Cho Aniki stands as a game that anyone with the means to play it should. This may be April 1st, but this is absolutely no joke. Ai Cho Aniki gets a 5 out of 5. To get a copy of Ai Cho Aniki, you'll pay as little as $25, though a typical copy averages between $30 and $40, which isn't especially bad. As always, being a PC Engine CD game, Ai Cho Aniki is region-free, so long as you've got a Duo or Super CD card. If you have a Japanese Wii, you can also score Ai Cho Aniki for 800 Wii points. Totally worth it for a game equal parts brilliant and bizarre.